A teenage girl was reported missing from her home in Ohio for a week. As soon as the news broke, reports were filed and the search began. Neighbors and the entire community came together, combing through streets, parks, and nearby areas. Flyers with her photo were shared and posted everywhere, from doorsteps to social media. But despite everyone's efforts, there were no answers. How could a young girl, loved by so many, just vanish without a clue or trace? It didn't make sense. She wasn't the kind of teenager to disappear. She had a routine, a family that adored her, and a life filled with love. And yet, through all the worry and searching, there was one person who knew everything, someone who could have told the truth from the start but stayed silent. This is the untold story of Keimani Latigue. Keimani Latigue was born on March 28, 2011, to her parents Darnell Augury Jones and Tiarston. During the time this story takes place, she was living with her grandmother Dorothy in Toledo, Ohio. Her parents had gone their separate ways, though Keimani still saw each of them from time to time. Her father, Darnell, lived on Willard Street. He was in a relationship with a woman named Nina Turner, and they had a child together, Keimani's younger half-sister. There is limited public information about her mother, Tiarara, that can be confirmed. What's known is that she resides in the Cleveland area and is raising other children as well. The reasons behind why neither parent had full custody of Keimani are not clearly documented. Dorothy, her grandmother, did not officially become her legal guardian until 2024. Before moving in with Dorothy, Keimani had been cared for by her mother's godmother during her infancy. Around 2019 or 2020, Keimani began living more permanently with Dorothy. Even then, her former caregiver, the godmother, remained involved and continued to offer support when needed. Keimani attended several different schools and faced challenges adjusting, which were reportedly linked to some behavioral struggles. By 2024, she was in 7th grade at Spring Elementary, where she was doing very well. She earned a spot on the honor roll and was admired by her classmates for her gentle and caring nature. In fact, she was scheduled to be honored with a kindness award in late March. She enjoyed listening to music from earlier generations and had a passion for video games and sports like basketball and football. Whenever her grandmother hosted guests, she often took the lead in entertaining the little ones, showing her natural warmth and responsibility. Keimani was genuinely appreciated by her classmates and teachers alike. From the way they described her, it was clear she stood out, a young girl known for her kindness, generosity, and thoughtful nature. Her presence left a warm and lasting impression on everyone she crossed paths with, showing just how special she truly was. But then one morning in March, everything changed unexpectedly. Dorothy Latigue, who worked night shifts, came home around 9:40 in the morning. As soon as she walked in, she immediately felt that something wasn't right. The front door was unlocked and the stove had been left on, letting gas fill the room. Keimani's personal belongings, her glasses and keys, items she never left behind, were still there, as if she had just vanished without a trace. Dorothy explained, "I usually get off work at 9 o'clock and made it home around 9:40 that morning, but when I got here, she wasn't inside." She quickly tried calling Keimani's phone multiple times, but each call went straight to voicemail. Worried and desperate to hear from her granddaughter, Dorothy contacted Keimani's school, asking the staff to have her call back. When the school checked, Dorothy's fears grew stronger. Keimani had not attended classes that day. With growing fear, Dorothy wasted no time and called the Toledo Police Department to report Keimani as missing.
Destination on emergency.
Yes, I'd like to make a police report.
Okay, what kind of report?
A missing person.
Okay, what's your name?
Dorothy.
Okay, and who's
Latigue.
missing?
Keimani.
Is this your daughter or son?
This is my granddaughter.
How long ago she's been missing?
To the best of my understanding, she's just been missing this morning. And I called her school and went up to her school and they said she's not there.
Officers quickly arrived at the home on the 2900 block of Elm Street, where Dorothy and Keimani lived. They promptly opened a missing person investigation, which would soon uncover truths that no one expected. In the days following Keimani's disappearance, her father, Darnell Jones, appeared publicly alongside her grandmother, Dorothy, appealing for information that could lead to her safe return. Darnell explained that on the night of March 17th, Keimani had shared her fears that someone might be trying to break into their home. To provide comfort and security, he and his cousin stayed with her for about an hour. They eventually left the residence around 12:30 a.m. on the morning of March 18th.
I came over here because she said that if it seemed like somebody was trying to break into the house. So I sat for an hour, me and my cousin, we sat over here. And we left around like 12:30ish.
As the investigation advanced, detectives began uncovering inconsistencies in Darnell's version of events. By March 21st, a troubling picture was emerging. Through examination of phone records, review of surveillance footage, and gathering witness statements, it became clear that Darnell Jones was the final person seen with Keimani. Detectives meticulously traced his movements, revealing significant discrepancies between what he initially claimed and the evidence uncovered. The details indicated that Darnell had taken Connie from her residence without consent, marking a critical turning point in the case. This discovery alone cast serious doubt on his earlier statements. However, this was not the only finding that raised suspicions about Keimani's father. Further developments would come to dismantle any remaining doubts about his possible involvement, intensifying the investigation and shaping its next phase. At that time, Darnell was residing with his girlfriend. On the morning of Friday, March 21st, he contacted her with a strange request to turn off the security cameras installed around their home. Sensing something was off about the demand, she chose to keep the cameras active, despite his repeated urging. While inside the bedroom, a relative noticed Darnell carrying several items from his SUV into the house. These objects were then stashed away in a hidden spot beneath the basement stairs, out of plain sight. Feeling alarmed by this suspicious behavior, the girlfriend immediately informed the police.
It was like a mat for the back of your truck, not a pickup, but SUV. You put that rubber mat in there to protect the back of your seats in case you're hauling something. That's what he rolled up and put in my basement. And his work boots, which were caked with mud, and he hadn't worked in a while.
Officers quickly moved to secure a search warrant and conducted a thorough investigation of the premises. During the search, they uncovered several concealed items, including a rolled-up mat typically used in the back of an SUV to protect seats during transport of various goods. Along with this, they discovered Darnell's work boots, which were covered in fresh mud, an unusual detail, given that he had not been employed or working for some time. When Darnell later learned that these belongings had been confiscated by authorities, he abruptly disappeared, leaving no contact or explanation behind. News of Keimani's disappearance quickly spread throughout the community, sparking concern and action among family members and local volunteers who eagerly joined the search efforts. Flyers with Keimani's photo and information were posted around the neighborhood. Organized search parties combed the surrounding areas, and social media channels were flooded with heartfelt pleas. Despite all this, the reality behind Keimani's disappearance was far more troubling than anyone could have imagined. As the search for Keimani grew more urgent and widespread, tensions began to rise among family members. The deep worry for Connie's safety pushed relatives to gather at Dorothy Latigue's home, demanding to thoroughly search the house for any sign of the missing teenager. Dorothy, who lived there with Keimani and their dog, found the sudden influx of family members both overwhelming and unsettling. Still, understanding the seriousness of the situation and the urgency to find Keimani, she allowed the searches to take place, hoping they would uncover something that could bring her granddaughter home safely. Then a troubling incident unfolded. One of Keimani's cousins shared on social media that tensions at Dorothy's home had escalated dramatically. The cousin claimed that upon arriving to help search for Keimani, Dorothy threatened her by drawing a firearm and pulling back the hammer, causing the cousin to fear for her safety. This claim rapidly circulated online, intensifying doubts and tensions surrounding Dorothy. Still, it was unclear whether this was the complete picture or just one more complicated piece in an already difficult situation. As the investigation unfolded, text messages claiming was being kidnapped and a ransom demanded began to surface. However, doubts quickly followed. Many began to question the validity of the messages, with some online observers suggesting they may have been staged. Theories circulated online pointing fingers at Dorothy, with accusations that she might have created the messages herself. Some believed it was a possible attempt to mislead investigators and conceal the truth. Tensions in the family and community escalated as the situation grew more complicated. With rumors circulating and fingers being pointed, divisions became clearer. Some family members began questioning Dorothy's actions and motives, while others stood firmly by her side, insisting she had nothing to hide and was just as concerned as everyone else. The neighborhood search efforts, which initially brought people together, slowly started to unravel. What was once a unified mission to find Keimani turned into arguments, suspicions, and growing distrust. At the same time, experts began to warn about a troubling trend. Fraudsters taking advantage of cases like this by pretending to know where the missing person is and demanding money. Officials have emphasized that these scams are becoming more frequent. The FBI has noted that criminals use information shared online by families to craft believable stories by pretending to be someone involved or in possession of key details. They aim to mislead and exploit already heartbroken families, making the emotional toll even worse. Criminals behind fake ransom plots often ask for large payments, frequently between $5,000 and $10,000, without offering any real evidence that the person they claim to have is actually with them. These scams are designed to take advantage of emotional, high-stress situations where families are desperate for any sign of hope. A well-known case that reflects this growing problem involved 12-year-old Juan Sebastian Mejia Asi from Virginia Beach. After he went missing, his family received a $500 demand during a live plea on Facebook. Gripped by panic, they complied with the request, only to learn later that it was likely a heartless scheme designed to capitalize on their pain. By March 23rd, investigators had made significant progress. Detectives began connecting key details from digital records, video surveillance, and witness testimonies. They also analyzed the materials collected from the home where Darnell had been staying with his girlfriend. Each piece of evidence added clarity to what had happened. The facts painted a troubling timeline. Based on the mounting evidence and inconsistencies in Darnell's earlier statements, authorities took formal steps to move forward with the case. An abduction warrant was officially issued for Darnell Jones, signaling a major development in the ongoing investigation. Darnell had a long-standing history of legal troubles. In July 2019, several concerned neighbors called the police after witnessing him throw 2 large televisions off a balcony. The situation quickly escalated when reports emerged of a physical altercation involving his then-wife. Witnesses claimed he had placed his hands around her neck and made threats near the edge of the balcony. That evening, officers took him into custody following reports of a serious domestic dispute.
He does have quite the record. Now, looking back, we can see that he had previous charges for domestic violence, specifically an endangering children charge back in 2021.
As early as 2011, when he was just 19 years old, he had already been cited for resisting arrest, causing public disturbances, and being involved in an arson-related incident. 4 years later, in 2015, he got into an argument with another individual that took a dangerous turn. During the altercation, Darnell reportedly drew a SIZ and discharged several shots near the person's feet before leaving the scene. At the time, he was on probation, and as a result, he faced charges related to having a restricted item. He spent about 2 years in custody and was released in the early months of 2017. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of his legal troubles. Later that same year, in August, he was arrested again. This time, the situation involved a serious disagreement during which Darnell was reported to have used a vehicle alternator, resulting in harm to another person. He faced a serious charge but was ultimately given probation instead of a custodial sentence. Later, he was taken into custody on multiple charges, including improper possession of a firearm, disorderly behavior while under the influence, and found with specific prohibited materials. Keimani's grandmother shared her feelings of deep disappointment and confusion, describing the situation as a betrayal.
Told to me that he was her biological father. However, her biological mother has told me on several occasions that he is not. So I don't know what to believe, but I know that he was present. He's been more present than the biological mom. And I feel deceived. Like, you played for so f***ing long in my face like you was her dad, like you really had her best interests at heart. But where is she?
However, one critical question remained. Where was Darnell? Just as the investigation appeared to stall, authorities received an important lead. Darnell's girlfriend reported that he had called her, revealing he was in Columbus, Ohio. Concerned and eager to cooperate, she quickly shared this information with law enforcement. This tip provided the much-needed progress in the case. Meanwhile, Toledo police announced they had discovered something significant inside a residence on Miami Street in East Toledo. They have not yet confirmed whether it is connected to Keimani. On March 24, 2025, law enforcement officers were directed to a severely damaged and abandoned house located in East Toledo, approximately 3 miles from where Keimani Latigue had lived. Upon entering the property, officials made a profoundly upsetting discovery involving 13-year-old Keimani. The building itself had previously experienced a fire unrelated to the current investigation, and its condition only deepened the somber atmosphere at the site. Inside, investigators found evidence indicating that Connie had experienced severe harm, particularly to her neck and hands, which ultimately led to her passing. Authorities also noted signs that pointed to inappropriate contact, which added gravity to the case and increased the community's sense of loss and concern. The Lucas County Coroner's Office later confirmed that her passing was due to multiple serious marks in the neck area. As officials continued to examine the scene, Keimani's mother, Tiara C., arrived, seeking clarity and answers. She expressed her emotional pain and frustration at not being permitted to see her daughter during this difficult and heartbreaking time.
Let me know when the coroner's bringing her out so I can see if that's indeed my baby. Y'all not saying nothing. My daughter tall, but she still has the body of a child. You know the difference. They're not telling me nothing. They ain't told me nothing. Not a word.
However, after a private conversation with the authorities, Tiara received news that confirmed her deepest fears, causing her to fall to her knees in heartbreak. She was truly special, shared Ms. Harabedian. Every morning, she would greet me with a warm hug. That small moment meant everything to her. She just wanted to feel cared for. Her energy lit up the classroom, and her absence will be felt deeply. Ken Harabedian, who taught Keimani in the 6th grade at Beneath Venture Academy, remembers her as a student full of warmth and a desire to connect. Keimani would often reach out for hugs at the start of each day, finding comfort in that small act of kindness. But there were also moments of concern that couldn't be ignored. Harabedian and fellow staff members reached out to Children's Services more than once after Keimani shared troubling comments or arrived at school with signs that raised red flags. Harabedian reflected with sadness that despite their efforts, the support Keimani needed didn't come in time. Our concerns didn't lead to the help we hoped for. It's heartbreaking, Harabedian shared. In education, your responsibility doesn't stop when the school day ends.
I tried my best to make sure that she was removed from that environment, and I think that had she been investigated more, this was looked more into, she would 100% be alive today.
Keimani's journey, though marked with hardship, also showed her strength and hope for something better. Those who knew her remember a young girl who brought light into their lives despite the struggles she faced. Her absence continues to leave a quiet but powerful void in the hearts of those around her, and the memory of her life is still felt deeply throughout her community. After the heartbreaking news of her passing, conversations across social media quickly gained momentum. Posts and comments began to reflect not only public grief, but also ongoing tensions within her family and the broader neighborhood. These discussions, at times emotional and intense, highlighted the deep impact Keimani's story had on people near and far. One video in particular gained significant attention. It showed Keimani's grandmother, Dorothy Latigue, being led from her home in handcuffs. The clip quickly led to assumptions about her possible involvement in the situation, but police later clarified that Dorothy had not been placed under arrest. Instead, she had asked the officers to place her in handcuffs temporarily. Her request was meant to calm the angry crowd gathered outside. The officers were not detaining her. They were helping her leave safely in a very tense and emotional environment. The moment involving Dorothy Latigue being guided away in handcuffs quickly became the focus of online attention. With emotions already running high, assumptions and theories spread across social platforms. Many rushed to conclusions about her role in what had happened to Keimani, fueling a wave of judgment and discussion. Dorothy soon became the target of unsettling messages, some of which included threats directed at her safety in her home. Family members themselves began expressing skepticism about her side of the story. Their public comments added to the uncertainty, making an already tense situation even more emotionally charged. In the midst of this unrest, the community gathered for a candlelight vigil in Keimani's honor. Neighbors and loved ones lit candles, shared kind words, and paused to reflect on her life. Though the evening was meant for healing, underlying tensions were still present, revealing the emotional weight the entire community continued to carry. This event left the neighborhood at a turning point, grieving not only the loss of a young girl, but also feeling the emotional strain the tragedy had created within families and friendships. As new findings emerged, legal action followed. Darnell Jones, also known as Darnell Jerome Ogilvy, was now facing more serious charges following the heartbreaking loss of young Keimani. A significant development came when Darnell's girlfriend provided key information that helped move the investigation forward. Investigators focused their attention on finding Darnell, tracing a vehicle linked to him for 2 consecutive days. Although he had left the area, law enforcement managed to track his movements, eventually locating him in the Victorian Village area of Columbus, Ohio, miles away from the scene under investigation. On March 25, 2025, Darnell was seen walking through a residential neighborhood. When approached by Columbus police SWAT officers, an encounter occurred that resulted in Darnell being taken into custody. He was transported to the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, where he was listed in stable condition. Due to his current health status following the incident, court officials postponed his scheduled arraignment. Once his condition improves, he will face formal charges, including those related to abduction and loss of life. Keimani Latigue's story is one of profound sadness and complexity. What began as a hopeful search for a missing child has unfolded into a difficult investigation, marked by conflicting accounts, strained family relationships, and a community trying to understand the situation. What adds a particularly painful dimension to this case is the allegation against Keimani's father. A parent's role is to protect and support their child. Yet here, the person meant to provide safety is accused of causing great harm. This case is more than just a loss. It touches on the breaking of a vital trust. Such a betrayal leaves a lasting impact not only on those closest to Keimani, but on the wider community as well. The case has left many searching for answers, wondering how a parent could be involved in such a heartbreaking situation. This has sparked conversations about possible contributing issues, including the role of mental health. When officers finally confronted Darnell in Columbus, his desperation was clear. Reports reveal that during the encounter, he pleaded with the officers to end his life, an urgent expression of his inner turmoil. Was this a person struggling with untreated mental health challenges? Or was there something more troubling behind his behavior? While it's important to consider these factors, they do not lessen the seriousness of what happened. If you or someone you know is facing difficult times or struggling with safety concerns, don't hesitate to reach out for support. There are resources and people ready to help. You are not alone. Together, we can build stronger, safer communities. Thank you for taking the time to stay informed and for showing compassion to those affected by the story. It's through awareness, understanding, and community support that healing can begin. We will continue to share updates as they unfold and encourage everyone to approach this situation with kindness and empathy. Stay safe. Take care of one another.